They say if you scream into the void, it echoes back. Sometimes, it brings something with it. Turn your lights off. Put your headphones on. Click the subscribe and like button, because tonight, Lochwood Entry 2. Hey everyone, Josh here. Did a little more digging into this whole Camp Lochwood thing. Last time, I just looked it up on Google, but apparently, Google sucks now. So I tried some different methods. Gonna spoil the ending. I found nothing. Well, almost nothing. First, I called my parents and grandparents to ask if the name Lochwood ring any bells. Nothing. They just wanted to know why I haven't called them in months. I'm busy, goddammit. Next, I tried out the whole horror movie go to the library and do some research, montage type shit. And nothing. But I did finally get a library card. For your local libraries, people. Anyway, I said almost nothing earlier. I tried looking through some old 4chan threads. Nothing about Lochwood, but there were a bunch of people talking about the wailing man they heard in the woods. Pretty spooky. Anyways, here's entry 2. Lately I've been wondering to myself what exactly we do here. To that, a common man would say something akin to, well, we get people away from their screens and into nature. And to an extent, they're not wrong. To a young man, there's plenty of motivation to keep going. Keep providing a necessary service. I, on the other hand, have dedicated over 40 years of my life to keeping this place running. Oftentimes, I feel as if it were a life wasted. Now, I know it's a negative way of looking at things, and I know this is purposeful work. It's just what happens outside of summer camp. Alongside entertainment, a meaningful change to the lives of our guests, there are many groups of people who treat this place as a glorified resort. People who refuse to learn. However, one summer rolls along, I'm reminded of why we do this, of why I'm still here. We're here to teach the next generation, to preserve the future. Children arrive drained of all color, wired to machines and programmed by the school system to work their 9 to 5 without question, just as our benevolent government designed it. After the 2 weeks of camp though, the children leave imbued with newfound creativity and a care for the natural world, and with new skills such as teamwork, inclusiveness, and general survival skills. What I'm trying to get at is that, well, I'm happy here. I'm happy because I provide more than I consume. Because I work every day to make the world a brighter place. I don't know why I went on this tangent. I feel as though I wrote this for myself more so than others. Anyways, that's enough rambling for now. It's time to jump into another story. On Memorial Day weekend a few years ago, got a group of college kids from MIT, majoring in architecture. Now to preface, we have a whole bunch of fire pits littered all around camp, so much so that every single cabin has its own. Each pit is marked down on the map. You can't miss them. What you can and should miss are the rest of them. Buried deep in the woods are countless stone circles, perfect for building a fire. As you have probably assumed by now, and as this story's unfortunate protagonist learned the hard way, you should not use them under any circumstances. You're gonna want to sit by a campfire for this one. Grab a bundle of sticks, don't forget the bag of marshmallows, and when looking for a fire pit, make sure you stay far, far away from any unmarked pits.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fire Starting 101. My name is Brian, and I will be your professor this evening. Please keep your hands and feet inside the ride vehicle at all times and prepare for fire.
Brian's corny introduction did not get the reaction he wanted. Only a pity laugh from Dr. Hawthorne. The rest of the group just stared in silence.
Okay, let's start with Tender.
It's late afternoon. The sun is still high in the sky, a sign that summer is rapidly approaching. A lukewarm breeze flies through a small crowd of college students, gathered in front of a fire pit. In front of them stands a vast forest, Filled with aging trees, a wall of shrubbery acts as a barrier. Behind them lies a gorgeous view. A deep valley flanked by a stunning green mountain. Situated towards the back of the crowd of 20 stands Luke, Frank, and Paulina, the three hardly paying attention.
I don't know why we have to sit through this. Who doesn't know how to start a fire?
Frank whispered.
I've never done it before.
Luke replied in a similarly hushed voice.
That's crazy. Grown-ass man and he can't even start a fire.
Fuck you, Frank. I could build one faster than you.
The short conversation is halted by a quick shush from Dr. Hawthorne. Brian continues on with his fire-starting spiel as the crowd watches in silence, most bored out of their minds. After what feels like an hour, it's finally time to practice. The crowd splits into groups of 4, spreading out to 5 fire pits surrounding the lit one in the middle. Luke, Frank, Paulina, and Dr. Hawthorne kneel around their pit, tasked with working together to light their own fire.
So, how are we doing this?
We? No, you three are building it. I want to see how well you paid attention.
Of course. Well, Dr. Hawthorne, I didn't know you couldn't build a fire. I'll be sure to keep this little secret between us.
Kid, you're talking to an Eagle Scout. I've built bonfires before your parents reached the 1st grade.
I'm sure George Washington was impressed by your fire-making skills.
Paulina added, eliciting a chuckle from Hawthorne.
Well, if there's one thing I remember George telling me, it's that you need materials to start a fire. You should probably go get some.
The trio stands up and joins the rest of the group, heading off into the woods to collect the needed materials. Pushing their way through a break in the thicket, they find themselves buried under canopies of aging trees, providing a welcome respite from the beaming sun. They walk off in their own direction, picking up bundles of sticks and loose dry bark.
I love how Hawthorne looked at you when he shushed us.
Yeah, me too. He's getting worse and worse at hiding his disappointment.
You know what'll impress him?
Other than actually doing my homework?
Yeah, other than that.
Let me hear it.
You, my friend, should build the fire yourself.
Oh, I'm sure that'll help me pass his class.
No, I'm actually dead ass. He thinks you're not taking this seriously. You were paying attention, right?
Was anyone?
Okay, let me talk you through it.
Frank gives Luke a quick lesson on fire making, an abridged version of Brian's speech, but an effective one nonetheless. Paulina walks over, hugging her collection of sticks and is updated on the plan. They head out into the woods and back to the fire pit.
Took you long enough. Everyone else is smoking already.
Well, they took all our sticks. We had to go on an expedition to find some.
Frank said, before handing Luke a handful of kindling.
Oh, Luke's gonna build the fire.
Aw, maybe we'll find his calling in life.
Luke, not acknowledging Hawthorne's quip, begins setting up his fire. He sets up the kindling in a little teepee and stuffs it full of loose bark and dried up plants. On the side, he places some bark under a notched stick, grabs another stick, places it over a notch, and begins spinning. With his hands flattened, he starts at the top of the stick and rubs it back and forth until they reach the bottom, then moves them back up to go again. He repeats the cycle over and over until a large patch of smoking dust collects on the bark. He transfers the bark over to the tinder and begins blowing on it. Nothing.
Gotta try again.
Luke repeats the whole process, the group getting visibly restless. The other fire pits are filled with dancing flames, yet theirs still stands, a bit of smoke floating up. He collects more smoking coals and dumps them into the tinder, blowing again, but this time too hard, and the tinder refuses to catch.
Maybe someone else should try.
Hawthorne suggests.
No, I can do this.
Luke repeats again and again and again, and yet no fire is lit. Luke is visibly frustrated at this point, too stubborn to quit.
Luke, that's enough. Let someone else try.
No, I know how to build a fire.
Luke, I really think you
I
should.
can do it!
Luke shouts, drawing the attention of the crowd. Everyone begins to silently watch, waiting for the outburst to continue. Luke notices his newfound attention and feels a tightening in his chest. He turns and runs off into the woods.
Luke, hey, come back.
Frank yells, standing up to go after him.
Frank, stop. Let him have some space.
Hawthorne commands.
But what if he gets lost?
Paulina adds, to no response. After a bit of silence,
Okay, let's practice a different method.
Brian says, trying to refocus the group. Luke stomps through the woods, paying no attention to where he walks. Tears begin to well up in his eyes, breaths becoming shorter and more violent. As he walks, he repeats the same line to himself over and over again.
Anything right. You can't do anything right. You can't do anything right.
He bumps into a log and takes a seat, hands over his face.
Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
He shouts, before slowly sliding his hands down his reddened face. Tears continue to stream, sniffling more and more. Looking around, Luke notices a gray squirrel on the tree branch in front of him. It scurries along the branch, climbs on the tree, curls up its tail, and begins hopping along the ground. It hops onto a rock and pauses for a moment, before turning and speeding off. The rock in question was one of many, assembled into a perfectly shaped circle. Luke stands and walks over to inspect the intriguing circle. Somehow, whoever made this pit gathered near identical rocks to serve as the wall. Inside a circle, implanted into the ground, was a perfectly made spiral, each successive rock getting just a bit smaller into the center, which looked no larger than a grain of sand. The ground between the spirals contained ash, but surprisingly, no plants grew inside the pit, in contrast to the overgrowth just outside of it. Luke's curiosity turns into determination.
Grown-ass man can't build a fire, huh? Fuck that.
He turns off and begins gathering his materials. A while later, with everything set up as he had earlier, he tries and tries again to start the fire. The first try, nothing. The second, just smoke. The third try, however, the smoke turned to flame. He made a fire. A smile crept along his reddened face, feeling a satisfaction he hadn't felt in a long time. He feels the urge to get up and share his accomplishment with his friends, but no, he doesn't move. The fire is just so beautiful.
There you are. We were getting worried.
Are you all right?
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot better now.
Luke says after a moment of silence, not taking his eyes off the fire.
Figured it out. Good shit. Didn't know they had fire pits out here.
Yeah, lucky me.
Come on. We're about to leave for dinner.
Just a minute. I want to enjoy this feeling.
Bro, we gotta go now. Come on.
Luke doesn't say anything in response. He just stands up without moving his eyes.
Should we put the fire out?
Nah, there isn't anything flammable nearby. Luke, come on.
As if someone snapped their fingers, Luke's fixation on the fire ended, and he looked away.
You see that? I just built a fire.
Yeah, we noticed. Come on. It's time for dinner.
Frank says, and the three turn and head back to the group. Later that night, the group heads back to their cabins. They had rented out a village of 5, and as before, split off into groups of 4, the same groups they had in the fire starting class. The cabin interiors were simple. A main room filled with bunk beds, a private counselor's room with one bed to the left, and a small bathroom to the right. Hawthorne locked himself in the counselor's room, leaving Luke, Frank, and Paulina alone in the main room, each in their bed preparing to sleep.
You ever had a class with Dr. Lawson?
Paulina asked the room.
Oh my god, yes. I hated her so much.
Why? I loved our classes.
How? She was an asshole. She would always find some way to insult me every time she graded my work.
This is absolutely dreadful. Maybe you should invest your time into something more productive.
I mean, even when I got a better grade.
Further proof, a broken clock is right twice a day.
I love your Dr. Lawson voice.
Thanks. Years of practice right there.
Frank leans his head out from his bunk.
Luke, you're quiet. What's up?
Nothing. I'm listening.
Yeah, but you're not saying anything. Usually we can't get you to shut up. You don't have a Dr. Lawson story?
No, none that I can think of.
Boo, boo, lame.
What about a Dr. Hawthorne story?
I can hear you. Can you please go to bed?
A voice cries out from the other room.
Don't worry, I have a bunch too.
All right. Well, good night.
Paulina and Luke respond accordingly, and the room goes quiet. Frank and Paulina roll over and close their eyes, but Luke continues to stare up at the carving of a campfire. Eventually, he drifts off into sleep. Luke's awoken from his slumber by an orange glow emanating from the window. He looks around at the empty room, Frank and Paulina both missing from their beds. Likewise, the door to Hawthorne's room is open, presenting yet another empty bed. He gets up and walks over to the front door, hesitating as he grabs the handle before opening it and stepping out. A bonfire crackles before him, larger than any he has ever seen before. The bottom of the flame burned a deep orange, and the top a bright yellow. The entire class stands around the bonfire, all staring deep within. Luke closes the door slowly, but when it clicks shut, it sounds as if it were slammed. The crowd all turns to stare at Luke, a smile etched on each face. Not a part of the human circle, but closer to the fire stood Dr. Hawthorne, his face blackened out. Luke slowly walks towards the flame. To his left, a crowd of people watches, faces emotionless, none recognizable. He walks up to Hawthorne and recognizes his signature look of disappointment. Hawthorne takes a step back and raises an arm to the fire, prompting Luke to walk closer. He feels the urge to stop and walk away, especially as his skin begins to boil and pop, but he just can't help himself. His body is swallowed by the bonfire, and he finally begins to feel it. The ecstasy.
Luke, what are you doing?
He turns around to see Hawthorne in his pajamas, staring at him worried. The moon is shining brightly above, and the orange glow of the bonfire is gone. Luke is standing inside an empty fire pit.
Come on, let's go back to bed.
The next afternoon, the group gathers at the peak, one of the tallest points of the entire camp, where Lochwood's famed zipline begins. It stretches across the skies of the entire camp. It's a long 2-minute ride, one of the longest in the country. Everyone is lined up waiting impatiently for their turn to enjoy the fruit of their hour-long hike up the mountain. Luke and Frank are grouped up together towards the back of the line.
I don't know why they can't just drive us up here. That walk was exhausting. I think Luke was ready to pass out.
Maybe the ride will wake me up.
After a long wait, the two finally walk up onto the podium and begin preparing for the trip back down. With their protective gear on, they strap up to their respective lines, and the counselors begin counting down. 3, 2, 1. They step off and immediately begin speeding down, the shooting wind painting permanent smiles on their faces. Frank cheers. Luke laughs. Below them scurry around tiny human-shaped ants, some playing baseball, some swimming in the lake, all having a good time. About halfway down the zip line, Luke's demeanor changes. In the middle of a grassy field, in the midst of a crowd of children, stands a man on fire. It's difficult to tell who it is, but one thing is clear. He's staring back up at him. As they ride closer and closer, all sound begins to dim, replaced by a sharp ringing. The flames have fully engulfed the man, and yet no one surrounding him seems to care. The man just keeps staring at Luke, completely oblivious to the chunks of boiling flesh that began sliding off his bones.
Frank.
What?
Frank.
What?
Do you see that?
See what?
They slide past the man, and all sound comes back.
No, nothing. I just saw a bald eagle.
Oh. Cool.
At the end of the zipline, the two disembark their ride and gather with the rest of the group. While Frank shakes with excitement, Luke looks visibly distraught.
Luke?
He looks up, noticing Dr. Hawthorne talking to him.
Are you okay?
Not really. I don't feel too good.
Do you need to see a doctor?
No, I just need to sleep. That's all.
You know the way back to the cabin?
Luke nods his head and walks off away from the group.
I'll see you later.
Frank says, confused. Luke heads back into the cabin and lies in his bed. What the hell is going on? What's wrong with me? He closes his eyes, trying his hardest to fall asleep, but after what feels like hours, his eyes shoot open. The sun is beginning to set, as the rest of the group heads back to their cabins, their hunger satisfied from dinner. Dr. Hawthorne heads over to the fire pit and lights a campfire as the rest of the students head to their respective cabins. Frank and Paulina open the door, hoping to find Luke recovered, but the cabin was empty.
Luke?
No answer. No Luke. Not anywhere. The two rush back to inform Hawthorne, who doesn't seem too surprised to hear the news.
I'll call someone. He can't have gone far.
They head back into their cabin and begin to put things away.
Hey, you remember that fire starting class?
Yeah? When Luke ran off into the woods?
You remember how he was acting weird? You know, around that fire pit?
Two exchange a look, signifying that they're on the same page. They sneak out of the back door and begin to trek up the mountain. They make it to the place where the class was held and see no sign of Luke, as expected. They flick their flashlights on and sneak into the woods, trying to make as little sound as possible. They know they're not supposed to be out this time of the night, best not to draw too much attention. Eventually they see an orange glow of a campfire, and after getting closer, they find Luke, sitting in front of it in the same spot he was the night prior, continuing to stare into the flame.
Luke, what are you doing, man?
Frank asks, continuing to walk closer. He notices that Luke's face is covered in sweat, mouth slightly open.
Are you okay?
Paulina asks. It's clear to them that Luke hasn't moved an inch in hours.
Come on, Luke, we have to go.
Frank says as he grabs a hold of Luke's arm. Luke starts to slowly turn his head towards Frank, making it evident that he's been crying. After exchanging a moment, Luke snaps out of it. Pupils dilating and he begins screaming his lungs out, ripping his arm out of Frank's hand and scampering back away from the two. Away from the fire.
Luke, it's okay. It's me, Frank. You need to be quiet.
Luke's screaming starts to quiet down as Paulina puts a reassuring hand on his shoulder. He continues to breathe intensely.
You've got to get me out of here.
He blurts out.
We are. Come on.
Paulina replies, holding a hand out. Luke grabs it and stands up, starting to cry.
I just want to go home.
It's okay. Come on. We'll take you back.
She continues, and the three head back to their cabin. The next day, everyone begins packing up their things. The bus arrives at noon, and it's almost over. After packing up and getting ready, they head out to the dining hall, where the bus will pick them up. Waiting inside on the tables are loads of books and board games, enough to keep them entertained until the time of departure. While the others engage in the offered entertainment, Luke sits in the corner, alone, bags under his eyes, mouthing something to himself. Dr. Hawthorne stands nearby, trying to keep an eye on him, when a staff member walks up to him. Luke couldn't catch the entire conversation, but he understood the most important part.
Your bus caught fire. They're sending another, but it's not getting here until 8.
Luke looks up in horror while Hawthorne unsuccessfully tries to figure out another solution. It's been hard enough to hold back the urge already. Could he last another few hours? Frank walks over, holding a board game and plops it down in front of him.
Luke, you're going to take your mind off whatever is bothering you, and you're going to play with me.
Frank, I'm not in the mood right now.
Luke, come on, you really need to...
Frank, I told you. I'm not in the fucking mood.
Okay, fine.
Frank picks up his game and walks back over to Paulina, who has watched the whole encounter with concern. Hours pass. The sun begins to set and still no sign of the bus. Luke the entire time had not moved, but after his mouth had dried up like a desert, he had to go get a drink. He walked over to grab a glass of water, drawing the attention of Hawthorne, who followed him. Luke downed the entire cup in one swig, put it up again, and turned to head back when he almost bumped into Hawthorne.
Luke, we need to talk.
What?
Listen, kid, I don't know what's been going on with you, but I feel that whatever's wrong hasn't started here. Now, I've had you as a student since you were a freshman. I know what you're capable of. Yet, over the years, your
Hawthorne's rehearsed speech begins to fade into the background as Luke looks over his shoulder. Counselor begins lighting a fire in the fireplace. It looks so beautiful. Time begins to slow, and everything around the fire starts to blur. That ringing comes back, rattling his brain. In the background through the fog, he hears one unrecognizable voice. "The bus is here!" Luke snaps back to reality.
A couple of years, so be it. But I think that's what you should really think about doing.
Luke looks up into Hawthorne's eyes. The blank stare stapled onto his face.
Luke, were you listening to anything I said?
A girl walks up holding a plate of dinner. In one motion, Luke drops his glass of water, spins around, grabs a fork off her plate, and stabs it into the side of Hawthorne's neck, blood spurting out on contact. Hawthorne gasps in pain and walks backward uncontrollably, not taking his eyes off Luke. He trips over a bump in the floor and falls backward, cracking his head open on the table. The entire room stops and stares, people gasping and screaming at the sight of the old man lying in an ever-expanding pool of blood. Luke's facial expression still unchanged, turns and runs out the front door, staff unable to catch him. Frank and Paulina run after him, knowing exactly where he's headed. They make it up to the woods where the elusive fire pit is held. Though not too far away, they were able to catch up to him until now. The fire pit is in view now, and though Luke had been quick up to this point, he trips on a branch, giving two enough time to catch up and grab his arms.
Let me go!
He struggles against the two, but it's no use. He's not strong enough to break free on his own.
You're done! Come on!
Frank shouts, trying to wrangle him back out of the woods.
Please let me go!
Suddenly, a spark appears in the fire pit. The spark begins to emit smoke, and from there it grows into a large orange flame. Frank and Paulina stare in awestruck, and Luke looks on in horror. He begins to screech a primal yell before swinging around and biting Paulina in the neck, puncturing a jugular vein. As Frank screams in horror, Luke yanks his head back. Blood begins pouring out of her neck and she falls limp. He then turns to Frank, breaks free from his grip, and proceeds to stick his thumbs in Frank's eye sockets. Frank screams in agony as Luke's fingers dig further and further, pushing out two red veiny eyeballs and the cords holding him in place. He lets go, and Frank falls to the ground, eyeballs dangling from his face. An hour later, the police arrive, having been called over by a counselor who heard Frank's blood-curdling screams. They find a sweaty, bloody Luke, still sitting in the same spot as before, still staring into the fire, mouth agape, drool pouring out. Specks of ash stuck to his bloodshot eyes. It's clear that he hasn't blinked in an hour.
Don't move!
Guns drawn, the officer tells him not to move, and he stays frozen, staring. An officer cuffs his hand, and as they begin to pull him away, he starts screaming and raging like a lunatic. He tries to speak, but the words are jumbled and unintelligible. He squirms and pulls, never taking his eyes off the fire, till the fire is out of sight. Suddenly, he shrieks out in pain, and his legs go limp. He falls to the ground, foam spewing out of his mouth, head twitching, eyes rolled up into his head. By the time the ambulance arrives, Luke is pronounced dead. They zip up the body bag, load him into the vehicle, and drive off. On the outside, he's gone. But on the inside, he's still there. He can feel it. The ecstasy. Everything is black. Everything is silent. Everything except...
It's beautiful.
Or that beautiful fire.